Hey everybody, this is the Roaming Prepper. Today we're going to do the last of the four external forces that can affect a prepper or a family by applying business to preparedness. So in this case, we're going to discuss the bargaining power of others. This is one of Porter's five forces for business, but it's being applied to prepping. So Porter's five forces for business you can see on the screen. Now we've covered each of these one after the other. The green in the middle would represent your company if we were talking about companies. You have competitors within your area. For instance, if you have a store in Chicago or New York, you have other stores in that town. Then you have four external forces that can come in and affect your business, or you can affect those forces depending on how you run your business. Now, obviously, a threat of a substitute product, for example, a different type of car or phone, is not a concern to a prepper. It would be for a phone company. So we need to change these rules to apply to preparedness. And this is what we have. So we've covered the other three: threat of external parties, cost of goods, and a lack of substitutes on previous videos. Today we're going to discuss the bargaining power of others. That's today's topic. Now, what is the bargaining power of others? In business, another company can bargain or buy the raw materials at a preference to what you can get. For example, if you need steel to make a product and the other company has better footprint or better purchasing power, they can get the steel at a premium to you. So now you have a more expensive product, or you may not get the steel at all. For example, Walmart against a small corner store. Walmart's massive, so they're going to get preference, they're going to get first delivery, and more than likely their cost per item is going to be cheaper than Joe's corner store because of the amount they buy. This can happen for preparedness. In food, a large group or someone else with more funding can manage farming and then negotiate trades for what they need. Whereas you as an individual might struggle competing against their purchasing power. Also for materials, a larger group can trade, harvest, and find what's needed and then use that to leverage getting the materials or items they need. For instance, five farms working together can negotiate for a better diesel trade with another town than one farmer or a small homesteader. Also, bargaining power of security. A larger organization, another group that has larger footprint, if you will, can organize shifts and is better protected. You by yourself will not only have less purchasing power, you can offer less security to anyone you're trading with. You can also work with a larger entity, such as the military or corporate footprint, to exchange products and services. How do you address the bargaining power of others? Well, what businesses do is if someone else is buying at a premium, I try to develop a better relationship with the supplier, or if they're trying to buy from me, I try and develop a relationship with the purchase trying to exchange their goods for mine. Also, a business will make long-term agreements with their own suppliers. A business will also try to force another company out of the market, either by offering a lower price product or by saturating the market with their product so the other company has to leave. Companies will also work with friendly companies, either with the same product or a product that works with it, to make larger purchases. So what can you do against the purchasing power of another group that may have more money or more people? We'll start with developing relationships with stores, farms, wholesalers, or any other kind of supplier in advance so that if and when an emergency happens, they'll know who you are, they'll know you have a good relationship, and you've paid your bills, and you will get preference. You can also increase protection and support if you work with others to make one bulk purchase. For example, if you were offering to buy something from a farm and another group's trying to buy something from a farm, if you can offer that farm protection because you have enough people to do it, that's going to make your offer much more appealing than someone who just wants to trade. You can work with another group to buy together at the source instead of trying to outbid each other. If multiple people are all trying to buy from that one farm and you're by yourself, work with some of these other groups. You notice a lot of business involves relationships, contracts, and trade offs. So be ready in an emergency situation if it gets to that point to make a deal with someone. It will be to your benefit to be able to be a good negotiator and to make a fair deal. Now, there are going to be cases where your town, your assistance group, or your family are trying to purchase from a farm. There may be other families doing the same. You may be trying to all work together to make a mutual deal, and then another group shows up. Maybe a bike gang, pick your bad guy, the Antifas, neo-Nazis. They show up and they're trying to basically steal from everyone else. At that point, it's in y'all's best interest to come together and run that group off. That will prevent them from trying to manipulate the farm or frighten the farm into surrendering the goods that you need. And again, that goes back to the previous bullet point on protection and support. You may not be able to run a gang off by yourself, but you have an entire town or 4 towns joined together. You can create a substantial protection such that the farm that's providing food to all of you will now work with you because you can help protect them. Notice the trade-off. You're keeping the dangerous group away from the farm in exchange for foods and services, and you're providing protection. It can go both ways as well. Also, keep an open mind when new people show up in an emergency. Talk to them, see what their skill set is. You might wind up with a doctor, an engineer, a pilot. If you have somebody that has a skill set, if you're trying to buy something from a farm and another group is offering a better deal, but you can say, well, in my group, we have a diesel mechanic who can fix your tractors, you might have just made the deal. So some tips for today. One, as always, identify holes in your preparedness. It's a lot less painful to close those gaps now than in the middle of an emergency when everyone else is doing it or when the products aren't there. Start relationships with your current suppliers and understand their needs as well. Keep in mind, if you're buying from that farm to supplement your household and things go sideways, but you know for a fact that he needs a carpenter and you can provide that service, you're going to get preference when you go to buy food from that farm. Also, find like-minded folks who may want to be part of a large purchase group. As I mentioned earlier, if you have an entire group of 8, 9, 10 households who are all willing to buy in bulk from that one farm in exchange for food, protection, or other goods or assistance, that farm will be more likely to listen to a group of you in a peaceful negotiation than just one person trying to buy things off the shelf. It's important in business and also in personal relationships to establish how money or payments will be exchanged ahead of time. For example, loaning money to a stranger, most people wouldn't think of. But a stranger would be more likely to sign an agreement to pay you back than your own family at times. I had someone very wise once tell me if you lend money to anybody, including family, if you intend to get it back, arrange ahead of time, have copies of the signatures, and give everyone a copy so everyone knows the rules. Also, get to know your local first responders and other infrastructure groups, whether it's your volunteer fire department or your police department or your emergency medical service, your EMTs. Get to know how they operate and where they get their supplies from. You can piggyback with them. You can also offer your services to them in exchange for their assistance if you need it. Especially in an emergency situation, people are going to help who they know or think will better the community. Also, join with other groups and negotiate with the farm or the town you're trying to trade with. If you need diesel from an adjacent town, but you're negotiating by yourself as a person, you're less attractive for the deal than if you can work with the entire town, one town to another, where they give us diesel and we give them bread or wheat or whatever. Remember, you're going to be trying to exchange against a bunch of other people who will be trying to buy the same goods. Remember toilet paper. Everyone freaked out, but if you could go and buy a pallet with five buddies, the company is much more likely to sell you a whole pallet and make their money than to battle each individual over the price of the potty paper. One last note for this whole series: get to know your local leadership's plan. Your city council, your mayor, your chief of police, etc. Every plan, according to FEMA Integrated Command Systems, ICS, needs to have an emergency plan for various situations. Find out where they get their supplies, see if you can piggyback. If you become part of the local CERT or organization, you may get preference in equipment or goods because you're providing service to the community in exchange for those goods. And that gives you an advantage over other people who are trying to buy those same things off the shelf. Well, folks, that's all for today, and that ends the series on the five forces of business for preparedness. I hope it was helpful and it gives you some things to think about and it helps you quantify the challenges you're going to have. Until next time, Godspeed if you're traveling, be safe, and if you can, help someone out. Take care.